All right. Welcome back to the series on the RRG chart learning. In my previous video, I covered the basics of RRG chart, very basic. And today I will be diving deeper into how the charts quadrants work and how rotation happens and the significance of the X and Y axis and the center benchmark, right? So four things we will cover in today's video, very short. And again, I don't want to keep the video lengthy. So quadrants, we will cover the quadrants, X and Y axis, benchmark, and rotation. So these are the four things that we will cover. And as I promised earlier, we will go deeper into our discussion in each video, but I don't want to put everything in one video to confuse you with a lot of information. So let's consume the information very in a very small amount. So let's start understanding the four quadrants of RRG chart, and each quadrant represents a different combination of relative strength and relative momentum, right? So we have four quadrants. So let me just go to the strike platform. So I use strike platform. Oh, did I? Okay, let me just log in. Just a minute. Yeah, just a minute. Um, all right, I can see a lot of improvements in the strike, so I am very impressed. So let's look at strike. So when you log into Strike, you have an option called Relative Rotation Graphs option. Just click on it and you will see all the indices appearing at the left, and you will see corresponding status of those indices at the right side. So now we'll focus on the quadrants, and I'll not go deeper into other things at this point in time. I will also provide you the link on my Twitter post to subscribe Strike if you wish to for accessing the RRG chart. You will also get a 10% discount, and I think which is cost around probably a 300 or 400, somewhere around roughly in a month, which is one pizza's cost. So, but that will help you to learn a lot of. I mean, having RRG access will definitely help you to learn a lot of things and give you the edge of selecting any of the stocks or the sectors that are doing really well. So let's look at the quadrants. So we have four quadrants. You can see the name on the top right. So leading, it's very self-explanatory. Top right, where we find stocks or assets that are showing strong relative strength and relative momentum, right? These are the typically considered leaders in the sector or market for that particular period, right? Now, quadrant two is this is the quadrant two, right? So this is called weakening quadrant, and this is at the bottom, bottom left, right? So this is about where assets exhibit weak relative strength and weak relative momentum. This quadrant is generally where underperformance resides. So let's say, and there is a slight difference between leading and weakening. Um, Even if any of the stock gets into weakening from leading, it doesn't mean that their RS ratio has decreased. The only difference is their momentum has decreased, and that momentum can turn it around and go back to the leading. So whenever you see any stock in weakening, doesn't mean that they are weak. They are into weakening quadrant because of the RS momentum. Their momentum has reduced, and it may turn it around if there is any catalyst like earning triggers or any of the product mix or any fundamental changes or any other changes that happens, right? So um, it's a very tricky situation, but you need to be very careful considering any of the stocks under weakening quadrant, right? So it's weakening with the name itself, but it is not completely weak until you see a lot of momentum, RS momentum declining and going into a lagging, right? You can see some of like PSC, you can see that going towards lagging, but this is, let me just set the settings first. Let it put it in a weekly chart. So I love weekly charts. So you can see that Nifty medal, right? So 1.5 months or 2 months back, I was posting about Nifty metal, which was in leading, and then it got into weakening, and then now it is in lagging. So definitely, when you see such a huge RS momentum decline, and the RS ratio as well, that's a very good indication of any script going into a lagging zone. So you are very well informed, well in advance, right? Now moving on to the next quadrant. So this is the improving quadrant, right? Here, most of the stocks are out of lagging zone, right? So they are out of lagging zone and they are showing some good RS momentum and ready to enter into a leading. So we need to be aware that all the stocks or indices which are in improving are showing a good RS momentum. All right. Now let's move on to the next one, which is lagging. Lagging, it's a name itself where you have a less RS momentum, right? And then less relative strength compared to the Nifty 500, right? So all these stocks compared to Nifty 500 are showing very less momentum, relative strength momentum, as well as relative strength under lagging. Now, this is about four quadrants that we have just gone through it, and I'll not go in details about deep dive in this video, but we'll definitely cover in the upcoming video. So, so there are four quadrants: leading, weakening, lagging, and improving. Right. So just if you have any questions, just hold on to your questions, and probably if you want to put it in the Twitter post under Twitter, sorry, X platform, go ahead and put it. Happy to take those questions as well. Now, moving on to the next part that we spoke earlier. Let's talk about the x-axis and y-axis. What does it represents, right? So x-axis that you can see at the bottom is JDK RS ratio. JDK is nothing but, as I said in my previous video, the RRG chart was invented. RRG chart was invented by Julius D. Campaner. So JDK stands for its short name, and RS ratio is nothing but relative strength ratio. So x-axis represent relative strength ratio, and the y-axis represents the relative momentum, right? So and the the best part is um, the y. I mean, whenever you see the momentum is increasing as well as the relative strength increasing, you will see most of them are in improving or in leading quadrant, and some of them would be in weakening as well. And there could be turn around story, and then some of the scripts may turn it from weakening to leading as well. So these are the X and Y axis, very simple. You don't have to break your head. Just understand the ratios are at the X axis and momentum at the Y axis. All right, let's move on to the benchmark. Where is the benchmark here? I don't see any benchmark. So first thing first, I selected a benchmark on the top as Nifty 500. But in this, the benchmark is at the center. So RRG chart, the benchmark is at the center. So center represents the benchmark, and you manually select the benchmark in the strike on the strike platform from the drop-down option. Once you so the ones which are let's look at this, right? So now if you see any asset moving further away from the center are probably outperforming, and they have a good RS momentum to cross over from one quadrant to other quadrant, right? Um, while you see some of the scripts are moving very closer to the benchmark, right? So those are very stable one. There are two indication of those things which are very closer to the benchmark are like they're very stable one. They don't have much RS momentum, so you don't expect a very significant momentum in those scripts, right? So and the direction and the speed of the movement indicates the strength and persistent of their trends as well, right? So you can see Nifty IT is still in improving, heading towards to the leading, right? So um, this is just for the educational purposes, folks. I mean, there's no buy and sell recommendation when I give any of the examples. So please don't consider that as a buy and sell. Um, all right. So now the last part is, I believe rotation was the last part. Yeah, rotation was the last part. So let's go back to here. So if you understand, the rotation on the RRG chart is a key concept. It's very important to understand. All the assets rotate through the quadrants over time due to changes in their performance and dynamics. And that's where you have an edge when you have the RRG chart, right? So you know how the assets are moving and you take your informed decision of reducing a location or increasing a location, any other decision that you would like to take, right? So and definitely you have to combine with the fundamental changes, technical analysis, and other things as well. Not only with the RRG, but RRG definitely gives you an edge, right, on top of fundamental and technical analysis. For example, an asset moving from quadrant 4 to quadrant 1 might be transitioning from quadrant 4. So if I have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, so from improving, if it is moving from improving to leading, I can certainly be assured that this has a good RS momentum and even the RS ratio is increasing. So I should bet on this, right? So, and definitely I can do a double or triple confirmation based on fundamental or technical analysis as well. So this is how the rotation works. So you can see a rotation. I can show you some glimpse of rotation as well. Just a minute. Yeah, I'll show you the rotation. Yeah, this is how the rotation happens. Look at this. Look at this in RRG chart, right? So this is the rotation. This is the rotation that you see. All right. Now, um, let's summarize, right? So what you understood in this video. Quadrants represents different performance states of assets, right? And the x-axis shows a relative strength and the y-axis shows relative momentum. The center of the chart is the benchmark guiding the performance assessment. Like the closer, it's very steady and don't think that it will outperform. The far from the center and it has a good momentum. That's your nirvana moment, right? You need to look for those things. Rotation helps identify and shift the potential opportunities, as I covered at the last, right? So these are the things that you need to look for as a starting point. Understand the quadrants, understand the x and y axis, what those represents, what is benchmark. I always select Nifty 500 because it covers the massive number of stocks and the rotation of the RRG chart, right? The rotation of the tail, not RRG chart. All right. With that, I'll just pause here. My purpose is not to increase the length of the video, but keep it short and concise and try to cover most of the information. And I'll keep publishing my videos on X in the future as well. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please let me know your comments in the post. And if you wish to subscribe for the RRG chart, you can use the link that I will post in the X account. I have already pinned that in my X account post as well. So please use that link. You will get a 10% discount if you wish to. And this is really helpful for you to take some informed decisions while you do the investing. Thank you and have a great weekend and Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.